into the sports shuffle. It's been a minute. But it is August 1st, 2022. We officially have preseason football this week on Thursday. Jaguars and
and
Raiders. And there's a small piece of news that's going to take most of the conversation today.
because finally all of the pieces that we have been waiting to fall into place, I think, have fallen into place.
Mostly. So the decision, I am, of course, flying Ryan Gilchrist along with.
Tampa Motor Mouth, Joel Verlin.
So the decision, the news of the day that's been about a year and a half in the making now is the Deshaun
Oh,
Watson
oh my
suspension
good
has
God!
come down. Before we
Because
get into everything on the
we
back end,
thought it was going to be coming out last week, and then no, just as you think, okay, we've hit Friday. Here's Friday. Here's where you have the traditional news dump. No, you have the story. AP says it's going to be next week. Whack whack.
yeah, so we'll get into the entire timeline, but let's jump to the headline
Yeah.
first, and then we'll go back through the process that is at play. Deshaun Watson suspended the first 6 games of the upcoming season, eligible comeback week 7 in
Appeal
Baltimore.
still possible pending.
Appeal is possible from the NFL. They have 3 days to submit it. The NFLPA and Deshaun Watson came back saying last night when they said this news is going to come out, hey, we're going to respect this process. This is a new process with the CBA. We'll get more into that here
That
in a little bit. NFL
that
today, we are still looking into the situation.
That right there, when you had the NFLPA issue that statement, that was clear cut case that it wasn't going to be a year long suspension. When
So
you saw that right away, I was like, okay, not going to be a year.
So let's start with this. I think the consensus on this is universal. 6 games, not quite enough, or at least not up to the expectation of most NFL fans. Joel, where did you think the suspension should have been? And how surprised were you that it was only going to be the 6 games?
Oh, I was very, I was surprised yet not surprised at the same time, given how the NFL has taken things. Where you can look at the whole Ben Roethlisberger incident at all, for example.
He
But
got 6 game suspension.
I, I was partially surprised, yet at the same time, I really wasn't, because I saw some of the reports that only a 4 to 6 game suspension, and then you had all of these reports beforehand coming out from like a Pro Football Talk that it's going to be a year. You have had Trevor Bauer, blah blah blah, blah blah blah, maybe even indefinite, and then all of a sudden it's been scaled back to the fact that the Browns tend to get out their $230 million man, and he actually gets some play time, even though I tend to think it's going to not be without some controversy.
Oh, I think this is going to be similar to what former Astro players have dealt with. I don't know if you've seen a baseball game where the Astros are playing,
Yeah,
or even foreign players. I think Jose Altuve plays for the Tigers now. I went to a game this season, saw him. They booed him every at bat at Tropicana Field as a member of the Tigers. So I think it's going to be similar to Deshaun Watson when he is not at home. He's going to have a rough go of things, at least in the short term. I don't think it's going to be quite as bad as a cheating scandal for the Astros, but I do think you're going to see some similarities in the crowd
well,
response.
because you have one of the wordings that from Judge Sue Robinson's decision said that Deshaun Watson's quote pattern of behavior was egregious, but notes that the behavior was nonviolent sexual conduct, in explaining the decision to suspend him 6 games per the source. And then you had another tweet that was interesting, that it ended up comparing some of the people who have been suspended and for what. For example, if I can go ahead and rattle some of these off here. Of course, Calvin Ridley, 17 games for betting. He's got to be going somewhere with this suspension. Vontez Burfict, of course, 12 games for targeting. DeAndre Hopkins, of course, well known, 6 games PED. Martavius Bennett indefinitely for substances. Josh Gordon, of course,
multiple
said
times.
25 plus. Just yeah, of course, substances. Darren Waller, 16 games, substance abuse, and now, of course, you have Deshaun Watson, 6 games worth 25 accusations out there. Just absolutely, you tend to look at some of these and you tend to understand where the NFL wheel of justice memes have come from.
So let's break down some of the background here. A couple of the suspensions you did not mention. Ben Roethlisberger, sexual assault, 6 games. So right in line on that. Zeke Elliott, 6 games, domestic violence. Ray Rice was originally 2, and then it was booted up to 6 when the video of him
Yeah,
with the
because the
domestic
video
violence
just
out.
absolutely changed the entire landscape like
And
instantaneously overnight.
and the rumor behind Alvin Kamara, which is an upcoming issue coming down the pipeline, the next case, I guess you're going to see this process go through, rumored to be also 6 games. Calvin Ridley, of course, the 17 for gambling, $1,500 on a football game. I feel kind of bad for him in this case. Now, let's go to this process because this is a new process with a new collective bargaining agreement. It used to be, hey, you did something stupid. Roger Goodell, judge, jury, executioner, 100%. He makes the call. End of discussion. You deal with it. Now, the players didn't like that. New CBA. They have an agreed upon judge, Sue Robinson in this case. And they basically say, hey, we're going to go and she's going to make a ruling. And both sides have 3 days to appeal it. Now, if it gets appealed, it gets appealed to Roger Goodell, which goes back to the old process. So if the NFL says this isn't good enough, they will appeal in the next 3 days. It'll go to Roger Goodell. Roger Goodell could give it to a designate who's going to do whatever Roger Goodell says to do. So this story, it may be over right now, or it may have another chapter that we will find out about in the next couple of days. But again, this is a
Especially because
new process, the first time running through it.
especially when you have that NY Times article out there suggesting that it may be a lot more than even the amount of cases that we have seen exposed right now.
Now, an important part of this to note: one, every accusation on this is egregious, it's foul, it's heinous. But 2 separate grand juries chose not to pursue charges because of lack of
No
evidence.
criminal evidence was found by either one, which was
Yes.
key why the Browns said, okay, we're going to go ahead and sign him. Because
Yes.
after that, both of the grand juries, they went ahead and signed him. And as I have said in previous podcasts, I really tend to think that your Dolphins went about it this the right way. They were like, okay, we want you to go ahead and settle everything, get everything taken care of first, then let's go ahead, as opposed to the Browns going, well, just you're sorry for what you did and you promise that you're never going to do anything like this again, right? Okay, boom,
The
here you
Browns
go.
also did
We'll give you
have
the we'll give you
the
the
2 grand juries say no criminal charges, which I think was if Miami gets that word last season, they might take the chance on it then. Um, Another thing to consider in this is the 25 or whatever the end up number is. All but one of those cases now been settled outside of courts as the civil cases. So that side of things is actually wrapping up. And in this exact case with the NFL chose the 5 most credible witnesses they thought they had. One of them ended up getting thrown out. So they used the 4 most credible witnesses. And the judge, Sue Robinson, said, hey, there is no violence in this. It's not great behavior. It's an accusation that's pretty heinous, and yeah, he might have done some things that he shouldn't have done in the sexual manner that he should not have done them. But there was no violence behind it, and unfortunately, that I think is a bigger determining factor here. Now, I was thinking probably 8 games with a massive fine was going to be where it came down, but 6 games, no fine, definitely light on both ends. I was wondering if they would count time served from last year when
his
he didn't
signing
play.
bonus nor his base salary were fined or even touched.
Yeah, that was a surprise. And again, going back to time served last year, they could have fined him retroactively for that, saying, hey, you were okay. You're going to be suspended retroactively for 23 games. You
He
served
was
17
actually
last year.
paid
You have to give
during
up your pay.
all the time he sat down, so he
Yeah.
didn't lose any salary.
Now, if they would come back and said, hey, it's going to be all of your salary last year, you're going to forfeit that back. You're going to donate it to a women's abuse charity. I think this is a lot more palatable to say 6 games, because when we see all the pink gloves and helmets and the crucial catch where they bring out the breast cancer survivors, I think everybody this year is going to look at the NFL and be like, really? You're going to pretend you really care about women when you just let that guy come back with essentially a slap on the wrist? Yeah, he's going to lose
Yeah,
6 game checks, but his game salary is next to nothing. He got it all in the signing
well,
bonus.
one of the interesting parts of the ruling, I believe, was the fact that Judge Robinson said that any kind of masseuses has to be done through the club.
Yep.
I mean, she was dead center specific about that.
Yeah, going forward, you can't go on Instagram, find your own private masseuse, do it in your own home. No, if you want it, you have to go through the team. They will have a licensed person on site, male, female, does not matter. You go through them. Whatever you do, it's going to be in the facility. It's going to be well known. We're not going to have this situation again where you can go find any Instagram person who says they're a masseuse and do whatever you want to do in the privacy behind closed doors, where, frankly, I'm not surprised he wasn't charged criminally, because it was his word against theirs. And at that point, there's no hard evidence. And that's, if he did what he's alleged, and I'm not going to say for sure he was, because I mean, we saw the whole Duke lacrosse thing where the woman made it up, and it does happen where extortion is a thing. So it could be 1 or 2 people thought that he crossed the line, and a bunch more jumped in thinking they can get a quick paycheck, and a lot of them have. But it's hard to believe that there's that many of them. So I don't want to say that he isn't guilty or that he is guilty, but it definitely isn't a good look for the NFL to suspend Calvin Ridley 17 games for gambling $1,500 and suspending Deshaun Watson 6 games for 25 allegations of sexual misconduct. That's not a great look.
If it was at least one game per allegation, he wouldn't have been even playing this year.
Yeah, unless they gave him time served last year, which would have just, I mean, honestly, if it was 25, you get 17, you get another 8 this year. I mean, it could have been done. But yeah, it's not a great situation for the league. We will see if there's any kind of appeals process going forward. This, of course, broke today. It's been the news. It's been kind of a linchpin in a lot of things going forward. It's possible that it could affect Jimmy Garoppolo going into the season, as he is still a member of the San Francisco 49ers, but the Niners have said, we're moving on. They won't trade him in division to the Seahawks, whose jersey I'm wearing, because DK Metcalf got paid in the last few days, along with Deebo Samuel, both staying put in their respective teams. So there's still some dominoes going to fall from this. Right now, they're going at it as Jacoby Brissett is the week 1 starter, which I saw him last year with Miami. Good luck with that. But only 6 games. It's not going to derail the Browns season that bad.
I bet the Cleveland Browns ticket office is still getting a lot of calls about season tickets when you have a $230 million man, even though that you're going to have to wait at least 6 games still to have the potential for playoffs, when you tend to look at it through that way.
Yeah, if the Browns can go, let's say 2-4 in his absence, let me pull up their schedule real quick. But if they can go 2-4 the first 6 weeks and get him back, Deshaun Watson is a top 5 level quarterback. He could very easily get this team to be a 10 or 11 win team coming back. First 6 weeks: Panthers, Jets, Steelers, Falcons, Chargers, Patriots.
That's doable.
Jets and Falcons are possibly 2 of the bottom 5 teams in the NFL. The Browns are still a very good team without Deshaun Watson. Panthers, the revenge of Baker Mayfield. We'll see about that. Steelers, Chargers, Patriots. Those are going to be a little bit tougher, but I think 2-4 is very doable. 3-3, probably doable as well. Although he's not coming back to a very friendly scenario. Away in Baltimore in week 7 when he can first come back.
Wow.
Home against the AFC Championship winning
Baltimore has their own Lamar Jackson drama going
Yes.
on right now.
Yes, week 8 against the Bengals in Cleveland. Bye week, then week 10 in Miami, week 11 in Buffalo, week 13 against the Buccaneers. So he comes back to a pretty tough stretch. He's going to have to be on his game right away for what it is. And by the way, the Commanders logo is the worst logo in football because it's their week 17 matchup, and it's literally a white box with a W in it, and it's just terrible.
They might as well have gone back to be called the football team
All
at
right,
this rate.
I think just calling them the Turds was better, but we'll call them the Commanders because that's what they want to be called.
Yeah, because
Carson Wentz.
if you think about it, you tend to look at the NFC South. I don't think you could have seen going in the Wayback Machine to this year to here. You have Panthers quarterback Baker Mayfield. Jameis Winston, okay, with the Saints, that you probably could have. Tom Brady with the Bucks, with all the whole unretired talk, not really sure. And then of course, sort of a surprise with Marcus Mariota, since the Falcons, of course, have finally moved on from Matt Ryan, who, of course, ended up getting traded to the Colts. Even though, that's where Baker Mayfield was saying, like, yeah, I really
I'd
want to
like
go
to
to the
go
Colts.
there.
And the Colts were going, no, yeah, we'll take Matt Ryan. Yeah,
I think that was the right decision on their part. Just a couple other quick notes for the
Oh
sports
yeah,
shuffle.
I saw. I think you saw the meme about was it Christian McCaffrey apparently tore his ACL reading the news about the Baker Mayfield trade. Yeah, I think you saw that meme. Of
Yeah,
course, fake, not real, but
that being a meme, but Robbie Anderson screaming no when the trade went down, that was real. And that is
uh,
he's still a part of the Panthers for right now. I think he's going to end up being gone soon enough. But our fantasy football drafts are 24 and 25 days away for the 10 and 16 team leagues. The 25th and 26th will
and
be
they're not going to be the same day this year.
no. We're going to give ourselves a break this year
Because
because it's
you
hard enough
don't.
drafting, let alone live streaming 2 in a row.
It's fun when you think about it until you actually do it, and then by the time you get to the second draft, your eyes are kind of glazed over, like again.
Now, I'll say this much. You and I got to the championship. We live streamed both. It obviously worked out for us, but it is a long day. So we will be doing our fantasy week coverage probably starting somewhere around the 17th, 16th, 17th. Live draft on the 25th and 26th. We'll do a mock draft. We'll probably do a couple mock drafts between now and then, but definitely a mock draft on the 24th. Probably another one in the few days before that. We'll go over our quarterback, running back, receiver, tight end. We're not worried about kicker and defense. If you are, go find someone who cares. They shouldn't be in fantasy football. And yeah, we'll probably be, I think Wednesday I got to get the whole schedule set up, but that is coming. We will be back to 2 shows a week. I believe once that is probably the week the football season starts. I have to go out of town to officiate a wedding for anybody who is interested. Our friend Chris, who was with our live stream last year, is getting married September 2nd. Congratulations to him and his bride to be. But they have me doing the ceremony, which I still say is a terrible idea, but I'm going to do a good job, I hope. But yeah, after that week, we get to the NFL season. We'll be back 2 days a week, Wednesdays and Fridays. And yeah, we'll be enjoying the world of football once again.
As opposed to just you sort of wonder why they didn't do the Deshaun Watson news, and then if they had done it during the All-Star break, that literally would have been the only thing the entire world talked about, because when you have the All-Star break, it is literal crickets chirping.
Yeah, that's the only day of the year, the day after the All-Star game, where there is no actual professional sports played in this
Yay,
country.
ESPYs.
Yep.
Kappa.
And that's why the ESPYs are that day. It's the only day that is completely wide open. Everybody is available to show up and do it. So yeah. NFL season officially preseason kicks off on Thursday with the Hall of Fame game between the Raiders and the Jaguars, because we definitely need that extra Jags preseason game. They definitely need it. We probably won't see a whole lot of Devontae Adams in the new Raiders black and gold, or black and silver. Sorry, black and gold. That's a whole different team that's going to not like Deshaun Watson for the next decade or so. But the Hall of Fame game is the official kickoff to preseason football, and I just want to make this mention out to everybody. We are officially not going to have a week without football until the break between the championship games and the Super Bowl, because I don't count the Pro Bowl as a real game. So, we are starting the best time of the year in sports. Baseball pennant races heating up. Football on the horizon. If you look just past that, NHL and NBA seasons about to kick off just after the start of
And there
October.
was just a quick nugget when you had with the Cernak, Cirelli, and Sergachev. Tampa Bay just committed 159.6 million in just about 8 minutes.
Yeah. Congratulations, as we're on the
Little hot,
topic, to
little hockey,
the Colorado
little
Avalanche and the Golden State
boo.
Warriors for winning the Stanley Cup and the Larry O'Brien Trophy for the NBA championship
Sorry,
in the time off.
as a Lightning fan, I can tip the old cap, but I just can't. You
It
understand.
sucks to come in second. 2 straight Stanley Cup wins, a third trip, an Eastern Conference championship. And keep in mind, you guys didn't damage Lord Stanley on the ice after celebrating like the Colorado Avalanche did. So I think that's a point in your book. Yeah. So.
And then of course you ended up having that just the injuries with how horrible it was for when you realize how the Lightning played when you read off some of these injuries. MCL sprain in final, that was Kucherov. Paul, MCL sprain in final. Hegel, fractured foot. Cirelli, both shoulders. McDonough, mangled finger in the ECF. And when you just realize some of those injuries, you're like, okay, there are a lot more warriors than we gave them credit for. You can't even think about what it's like to get out and you're doing some of the same repetitive motions with some of those injuries. It's like, okay, that's way beyond Tylenol, kids. Oof.
Yeah, hockey players are a strange breed. I know I took a puck off the ankle last night. Kept my shift and kept playing the game, but it's a pretty swollen today. So yeah, it's not as severe as anything you just listed off, but hockey players are a completely different breed. LeBron James would miss 3 games with cramps, and they're playing with torn ACLs and rips, depending.
You think
on all
about when
kinds of craziness.
you're trying to hold the stick and your finger is mangled. And you're mangled and you're doing that for 3 solid freaking periods.
Yeah. Multiple games, week in, week out, and in the most violent time of the year when the Stanley Cup playoffs are a little chippy, to say the least.
Little.
Yeah. So, but yeah, we are back to football season. Deshaun Watson, of course. Hopefully, this is the end of it.
Something tells me it's the Star Wars. I have a bad feeling about this, that we're putting the story to bed, at least as far as this chapter goes, but something just tells me we have more in store ahead. Don't ask me why. I just have this awful feeling inside me that this ain't over yet, kids.
Yeah, you think it's dead and gone. All of a sudden, Emperor Palpatine back in the flesh. Yep.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what I'm saying. It's
which
just
is which has to be. Sorry, I have to go on a Star Wars rant here. Which has to be the most which is the most talented character in the entire freaking field, in the entire freaking industry, in the entire freaking saga. Because if you think about it, what happened to Palpatine? He got tossed down a freaking reactor. He got tossed down a reactor that was on a Death Star that blew up. How the bleep did he come back? That's what I want. He got killed.
Thanks,
and then
Disney.
tossed down I'm just, anytime I try to wrap my head around that logic, even as a sci-fi nerd, I'm like, how the hell did he do that? Okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
I've been working my way through all of the Star Wars movies in chronological order of the story. The first 2 are borderline unwatchable. They're just terrible. But yeah, I
the newer ones.
No, the second set, the ones that came out in like the early 2000s. The first 2, borderline unwatchable.
Oh, you're talking. Oh, the Birth of Jar Jar Binks.
Yes, that one.
Howard.
Yes.
Oh, good God.
Yes, the one that makes you think, how the
And
hell is
and
Natalie
and,
Portman a popular actress now when she couldn't act for crap in
and
that
of
movie?
course, the first movie, spinning. That's a good trick.
Yeah. Before we go too far
Of course.
away
Woo!
from
This is pod
sports,
racing.
yeah, we're gonna start betting on pod racing here in a little bit, guys. Yeah, we are.
Good,
Another
good,
quick note.
good God, the Phantom Menace was a ugh.
Yes, it was bad. Quick note: we are re-uploading.
I think it was better than the last three movies.
I I'll make my judgment when I get back to
Hmm.
those because I haven't seen them close enough together to really judge. Another quick note: we will be uploading live to YouTube this year, not to Facebook. Mostly because it's easier to copy the YouTube link and bring it into Facebook than to download it off of the website and re-upload it onto YouTube. This
Isn't
is a
render
this is a
isn't
move of laziness.
rendering is fun, isn't it?
Yes, this is a move of pure laziness on somebody's part. The person who had to upload them and then eventually stopped. So yes.
Uploading is fun.
So yes, the live interactions will have to be on YouTube. So if you're watching this on Facebook, we have to find a way to, maybe we'll just have to put something in the shuffle being live in like 10 minutes so people can go over. All one of them that wants to comment and like and post and all that stuff. Make us feel good about our lives.
0.75 people that watch
Yes,
it.
our average 0.04 viewers per episode.
0.17.
Yes, they can engage with us in all of our glory. So
Yeah, this is we're talking sci-fi, serious F to with Michelle Nichols died, aka Lieutenant Uhura.
oh, I didn't hear that one.
Yeah, that was actually yesterday. That was a definite sad moment in the sci-fi field.
I saw the Bill Walton passed away yesterday. That was the bigger news story that came across my timeline. So it just shows you what I follow on Facebook more than anything. But very sad for both of them, legends in their own fields.
Yeah,
And
I saw the story where I think Michael Jordan was saying, or he was saying, "Yeah, I'm going after your record," and Walton was like, "Which one?"
yeah.
So that's sort of like a like a okay, come on, bring it moment.
Yeah. Oh, but it's good to be back. It's good to finally do this once again. We will get more into football probably next week. We'll get some talking points. But we were actually waiting for this Deshaun Watson news to break because we heard the rumors going to be indefinite
Oh
with a
yeah,
minimum of a year, 2 games, 8 games, 10 games, 12
yeah,
games, 6 games.
I even almost bit on until I realized it was a total fake account because I realized there was somebody who posted on Twitter like they were Judge Sue Robinson, and then I realized no blue check mark, not verified. I said, okay. I said somebody is out there doing like the Senator of reenacting. It's a fake from Deep Space Nine. It's like, yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, almost, and I'm like, no, this is fake Rooney. And then because I messaged Ryan, and, and Ryan's like, no, if it's not Schefter, if it's not the NFL, not paying
Yeah,
attention to it. And
if it's not Rappaport, it's not Schefter, it's not coming from the NFL, you're not seeing it through ESPN. Take that with a grain of sand. Or if you're not seeing it through Sleeper with, hey, this happened. Like Sleeper's very good about giving out your alerts. And it was saying, rumor is, we're hearing a source might be close to the situation saying that today it was Deshaun Watson suspended 6 games. There was no ambiguity to it.
the
So
other thing,
note your sources. If they're coming to you directly or through a big name company or a big name reporter like Rappaport or Schefter, you can probably trust it. But if it's a random Twitter handle that sounds like it could be a real person but isn't, it's probably crap.
yeah, because that's the other thing that made me realize, because you're going, where are you getting this from? And then I realized, yeah, it's a Senator of Reenact. It's a fake because after it came out, I'm checking my email and I'm like, no alerts, nothing's happening, nothing's breaking. I'm going, okay, flush it time.
Yeah. So now
But
that's finally behind us. We can look ahead
yeah,
towards the real games
it's
on the
just
real
real
field.
easy when you're like you're hungry for news and like ooh, and I'm like, okay, just tend to remember you have the 4 letter and other top media sites have actually bitten down on fake stories. So at least it's not one that hey, we're going to publish this nationally. Oh wait, this is fake. Never mind.
Yeah. So let's talk about some of the actual football news that has been going on recently. 3 big contracts that were signed: DK Metcalf, Terry McLaurin, and Deebo Samuel, all wide receivers, all signing massive extensions with their team. Joel, which one do you think is going to be most successful on their new contract?
After all of these guys, have to go with Terry McLaurin, who ended up, I think, sort of had the biggest up then down portion to his season last year, and I tend to think that you have the rebranding, you have the change in quarterbacks. I think that's going to help him, even though I know people are going, okay, this is Carson Wentz we're talking about here, but still, it's a new personality. It's somebody new for McLaren to gel with. And I just tend to think that he's going to have a better year.
I think Debo is probably the best option for this year. I just think he's too versatile. Where they're going to go to Trey Lance, they're going to need to get inventive. I don't think Trey Lance has the best arm yet. He's going to do a lot with his legs, but short passing game, end around sweeps with Debo Samuel probably going to be a big thing. I know there's a lot of Carson Wentz slander out there, and I'm not saying it's not deserved, but you do realize he's had Alex Smith on one leg and Taylor Heineke as the receivers for Terry McLaurin. Carson Wentz is not a great quarterback, but he is a damn sure better quarterback than one-legged Alex Smith or Taylor Heineke ever could be. So he helped Michael Pittman last year get to a level that we were hoping he was going to ascend to, and I think Matt Ryan's going to do better with that. But I think this is going to be the best quarterback Terry McLaurin has played with in the NFL, and it's not that close. So I think your estimation that he's going to be very, very good. I think that's a pretty good call there. Quarterback situation in Pittsburgh has a lot of smoke below what
Ooh.
could be a lot of nothing. Mitch Trubisky brought in for the biggest contract. Kenny Pickett,
Yeah, of course,
highly drafted quarterback.
of course, you had the tragedy in Pittsburgh.
Yes, Dwayne Haskins passing away. Not a good thing there, obviously. And then Mason Rudolph, the incumbent that had been there, that they said, oh, he's going to be the starter. And then they went and got Trubisky and Pickett. He is right now in the third slot, but I've heard everything from Pickett's been a disappointment to Trubisky or Rudolph both have the starting job in their grasp if they go crazy. So what do you think Pittsburgh should do, and how do you think it's going to start off the season?
I tend to almost think that you're going to have maybe somebody come in out of nowhere to take over the slot. As I'm not sure how either one of these two individuals you can really put any kind of faith in as to carry the entire franchise, as it's going to be a bit of a rocky road. I think this is just going to be a transition year, going from Ben Roethlisberger stepping down, turning it over the reins to two newcomers, at least as far as Pittsburgh goes. Yeah, I I just don't know. I mean, I just don't know how much faith I have in Mitchell Trubisky. Mister Turn Off the TV. Coming into this new. I mean, on the other hand, it could be better for him because it's a new locale, it's a new chapter, it's a new start. But I just don't know. I still just tend to have all of these memories of Trubisky in Chicago from before, and I can't really see him doing much better in Pittsburgh. I just don't know. I just tend not to have a lot of confidence in buying into him.
I think Trubisky will do well. I think that he got a raw deal in Chicago. Matt Nagy is a terrible person and head coach. You saw what he did with the limited weapons he had. He had Allen Robinson, and that was about it. Then he got David Montgomery at the back end. When
So
he
you,
started, they were a much better team than when he didn't start in Chicago. And then he went to
so you,
Buffalo, sat behind Josh Allen, and had really good reviews from the Buffalo coaching staff. So now he gets his chance. I think he's going to take the reins to start the season, and I think he's going to hold everybody off the whole season, if I'm being perfectly honest.
so you really think Nagy to Tomlin is going to be a whole better world for him? That's just like two completely different universes.
Yeah, I really think getting out of Chicago, which is one of those just meat grinder type of markets for football, going to Buffalo for a year, being a backup, learning from Josh Allen, who's a young quarterback who's really taking his game to the next level, getting under a good team, good system, having good weapons. He got a good rapport. He got good feedback and reporting out. And then this year, I mean, Pittsburgh has Najee Harris in the backfield. They've got Deontay Johnson. They got George Pickens, who they drafted. They've got Chase Claypool. They've got weapons around Pat Freiermuth. and that offensive line is a little bit better than they were last year. I think he's got enough there to be good. He got them to the playoffs twice in Chicago out of 4 years, and that was with Matt Nagy as the head coach. I mean, they're a double doink from going to the divisional round. There's his rookie season. I don't think he was the problem in Chicago. I'm not saying if he had a better coach, he would have been the answer, or better than Pat Mahomes or Deshaun Watson, who he was drafted in front of. But I think if he had a better coaching situation, he would have been better in Chicago, and maybe he's still there. You see what Chicago's doing to Justin Fields right now is just setting him up to fail.
Plus, you actually absolutely have to love how Mike Tomlin ended up handling the whole AB deal when after AB was sort of let it known that I really want to go back to Pittsburgh and
No.
Tomlin shut it down. Nah, that ain't happening. I'm going. Yeah, you gotta love Tomlin.
Yeah. Did you
That ain't
see?
happening. Boom.
Did you see the pictures from training camp of the crowds? This went around on social media. They're showing the crowds at training camps. They went to Pittsburgh. The crowd is packed. They went to Lambeau Field.
I think I did
Packed
see one.
crowd.
I think I did see one from the Chargers when
The
the
Chargers had a pretty good crowd. They went to a couple other camps, and then they went to Washington, and it was two probably very drunk dudes in lawn chairs with nobody around. And then they went back the next day, and they got even less. So the Washington Commanders, Dan Snyder, went in front of Congress while we were away. He is a dirtbag and a
You
pile of
mean
garbage.
you mean he wasn't able to hide on his yacht anymore?
Yeah, he had to take the oven mitts off and all of that so he could accept the subpoena, but he got to do it in secret instead of publicly. He's manipulated the whole system. He is a pile of trash. He needs to be gone as an owner.
Yeah, because they actually had, if memory serves, a vote that he survived where they tried to oust him but weren't able to do it.
The owners are a tight bunch. Speaking of owners, the Walton family now owns the Denver Broncos. The Walmart Waltons owns the Broncos, who now have Russell Wilson and a pretty good team. So the richest owner in the NFL, and it's not even close, now owns the Denver Broncos.
And your team's owner, apparently, nothing is going to happen to, at least yet, for the whole Brian Flores allegation about that, he would pay him to lose games or offered
He
to pay
offered.
him to lose games. Says that I saw a blurb that said that apparently the investigation is just sort of kind of ground to a halt in regards to owner Stephen Ross, and that's kind of a sort of a church lady. How convenient.
Yeah, not a surprise. Not going to go to the top. They're going to find a way to rework the Rooney Rule out of this and call it a day. I think it's all it's going to be. I think we've seen some changes already.
And it's kind of interesting doing a segue back to our top story where I saw there was a quote about Robert Kraft actually criticizing the ruling on Deshaun Watson. And I'm like, considering everything that happened behind the
Oh,
scenes,
that's rich.
maybe it might have been a good idea in this case to not say anything
Hey, Bob.
in his case.
Hey, Bob.
Since
It's probably better for you to just stay over there and be quiet on this one.
since if memory serves, the NFLPA's three-pronged attack was one of the people was Robert Kraft, Dan Snyder, and of course Jared.
Yeah, you don't talk about masseuses and sexual allegations, Bob. You're a little too close to that. Dan, don't talk about the financial records. You don't know what you're talking about. And
The
Stephen
whole
Ross,
reason
nothing about race. Stop
whole
talking about
reason
race. You don't know it.
whole reason I don't think anything happened to Kraft was there was something about the evidence was there was something up with the evidence that was
The
thrown
evidence was
out.
bought
Yeah.
and sold and got
Yeah.
rid of. God, it's got to be nice to be a billionaire. Yeah.
Well, there's somebody who was a new billionaire because of the Mega Millions, I think, right?
It wasn't one of us, so I mean,
Yeah.
I don't really know. Probably.
Neither one of us have the Callaway. We got money, whole lots and lots of money, and we got the Pie in the Sky song that it's not playing in the background.
Yeah, the only Callaway got the new golf driver I had to do because the other one broke. But that was definitely not $1 billion. But anyways, all right, let's go to final thoughts. The first one in a pretty long time, so a lot of options on where we can go.
And I'll go ahead and do you want to do yours first, or do you want me to do mine?
Oh, I suppose I can go first. Let's talk about Brittany Griner in Russia. For those of you who don't know, there is a Russian invasion of Ukraine that is still going on, and because everything is political, um, Brittany Griner got arrested for having drugs in Russia because she had a vape pen with CBD marijuana particles as a part of it. She's now facing 10 years in a Russian prison as a result because well, they don't like Americans and they want to put an example on. So we've heard of athletes getting stuck in Russia in the past, going back to the pre breakup of the Soviet Union. Hockey players couldn't come to the NHL because they would, you know, realize that the Soviet Union and communism didn't really give them the life they could have over here. And you're starting to see some of that again, but Brittany Griner is being made an example of. If you don't know who that is, she is a WNBA All Star who is a freakishly tall woman, amazing athlete, and the reason she's over there is because the WNBA doesn't pay, and she had to do work in the offseason with the Russian Basketball Association. So, yeah, quick update on that. I am still on the board with depressing topics during the final thought segment. I'm going to try and work on that going forward. But Brittany Griner, hopefully we can get that one situated because she's kind of just trapped in a foreign land because basically Russia doesn't like Americans and they could make an example out of her.
Well, how would you like me to end with a little bit of a lighter topic?
I mean, we started with talking about sexual assault and finished so far talking about Russia detaining people kind of without merit. So go ahead, give us some brevity and some lightness.
Yeah, because I tell you, you tend to think of seltzer, flavored hard seltzer, but yeah, how about this? Oscar Mayer
Oh no.
meat seltzer, Oscar Mayer ham and cheese meat seltzer, original bologna meat seltzer, and olive loaf meat seltzer. And yeah, this is apparently an actual thing that I was sort of like, "Are you sure this isn't the onion?" And I'm checking and going, "No, no, this isn't the onion." And I'm like to myself, "I'll just leave that there. I don't think I would
No.
try it.
Uh,
I'm not a seltzer person. I'm not an alcohol person usually, and I definitely don't think I would have any of those because that's just sort of one of those things that you look at and you're just like WTF land and
well,
oh
that's
and and
gross.
and can I have a bonus final thought since it's been a while?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay,
Please don't be worse than the meat seltzer.
there is actually this is a sign from a grocery mart, and the sign is ice cream, and then you have dog treats. Under the dog treats, you have the following thing typed out: not intended for human consumption, which makes me want to ask the story that prompted somebody to have to type up that sign. You're just going, yeah.
I've seen the frozen dog ice cream near the ice cream, so I can get the confusion there. I still don't get the meat seltzer. Um, for what it's worth, that is the most disgusting thing ever. Like, I like the seltzers, I like the Truly teas and the punches and stuff like that. I actually gave up meat in the last this year completely. So the thought of having meat on its own is kind of becoming like, I don't really have the urge for it. But having a drink that is a ham and cheese sandwich flavor, I don't care if I loved ham and cheese sandwiches. I think I would vomit on the spot, especially if it was like lukewarm. Like everybody out there who's had a drink in their lives knows that when it gets to that room temperature or above, it is not fun to drink. Now imagine if that is olive loaf flavored. Like, no, this is
Would you,
terrible.
would your significant just go ooh upon mentioning that
I
probably?
think so. I mean, I've heard a lot of people ask me because of what I do outside of the podcast about the Tropicana breakfast cereal that pairs where you put orange juice in it.
Yeah,
And
I saw that.
apparently that's a thing. I didn't know it was a thing. I'm allergic to oranges. I've never tried the Tropicana product. I've never tried the cereal. People ask me, what about it? I'm like, it's a real thing. It is out there. If you
I've seen
like
it.
it,
It's
try
real.
it. If you like orange juice, it's probably going to be pretty good when you put them together. For me, it's like that is like just foreign. That's like putting whipped cream on French fries, which I had on Saturday, which is also very strange on sweet potato fries, but not terrible. Epcot's a weird place, kids. But yeah. So I guess before we wrap up, what else has been going on with Joel since our I guess really end of last season, because it's been a little bit. Anything new and
Oh,
exciting on your side?
nothing new, exciting. Just the one thing I'm probably going to be paying attention to is I'm sort of just kind of wondering who's going to have the better years. Is it going to be Baker Mayfield with a full year, barring any injury, or is it going to be Deshaun Watson with his partial, abridged, not full year season, as he's kind of going to be on a mission to prove himself on the field, and he's probably going to hopefully shut everything else out and hopefully not doing anything stupid off the field, because he's going to be under a freaking microscope for the next 365 days, starting when the new training camp ended up happening. He's going to be under the microscope even when he's suspended. So yeah, that's just the kind of the main thing that I'm going to be paying attention to, I think, this year. But besides the Bucks, because I think that definitely have the Bucks, and can they get back to the Super Bowl? But I tend to think that that's almost a tired storyline for me, as I think the real storyline is Baker Mayfield or Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, that's going to be a big one this season. For me, won a hockey league title in my beer league, so that was a good thing. Came second place in the golf tournament, first golf trophy ever. That's the one right behind me over here in the corner. Yeah, joined another dynasty football league in the last month and a half, because you just want to do things sometimes, and that one I like a lot. And yeah, of course, I did mention the wedding I'm officiating in a month and a day. I'm going to start writing all of that. I got a lot of ideas and still waiting on a couple pieces of information from them. But yeah, a lot going on. And fortunately, only another month or so before you have football as a distraction from all of the stuff
Thank
going on in
God.
the real world, because God forbid is it just terrible out there anymore, it seems like. Man. So, once again, we will be back probably 2 a week once we get on top of football season. We'll have our fantasy week coverage where we're going to be doing something every day, mock draft, rankings of players, real drafts at the end of it. And then,
Next week will just be a oneer.
yeah, next week will be a one-off. We'll kind of get some news and notes. Of course, we'll probably start running into some injuries. Ryan Jensen, so far the biggest one, the Bucks center, going
Ooh, yeah,
down.
that
That one
was
probably going to hurt quite a bit, not just for him personally, but for the team as a whole.
And those new funky helmets that you saw that really look weird.
The Bucks ones?
No, the ones that are supposed to
Oh,
protect
oh
you.
yeah, the bump cap looking things. Yeah, those are a little odd. But yeah, we'll be back
Yeah,
one.
that's definitely an RCA dog look when you're huh?
Yeah, so we'll be doing probably one show next week, and then start our fantasy week coverage the week after that. We'll put our schedule together, and it'll be off and running. Fantasy football and football season is here once again. Again, we are in August, so no weeks without football between now and the week after the Super Bowl, if you count the Pro
Sort
Bowl.
of weird, as it sort of almost felt like you were like waiting for Christmas or Hanukkah, to come with for the Deshaun Watson thing, sports wise, and then finally it's here. It took him long enough.
Yeah. So, so this is the beginning. So that is our time for today. Deshaun Watson, the big story. We will keep up to date on what goes on in the next week or so and be back next week. I am, of course, Flying Ryan Gilchrist, along with
Tampa Motormouth, Joel Verlin.
and for the love of God, nobody buy the Oscar Mayer meat seltzers, because anyways, we gone.